Welcome back to Misadventures Recap, the best place to stay up to date on the Minecraft Misadventures SMP. Maybe I'm being too forward saying it's the best, but one thing's for sure, I'm not anywhere near as forward as our main man, MythicalSausage.
I need you to take off your clothes and prepare to die.
I'm okay. Is this part of the whole lusty thing? What's going on?
No, I need your head to put it on a mount, a little wall mount.
It seemed pretty hard to avoid dying this week as fWhip narrowly avoids a surprise demise.
Oh, jeez. That was not a safe location at all in the resource world. What happened there?
And even the server queen herself can't seem to avoid the red screen.
Hello. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just passing by. Ah! Okay, don't even look away for a second. They are faster than you could believe. And they took all my stuff.
Things get a bit crazy this week, so let's sit back, relax, and watch the chaos unfold. But before we do, make sure you subscribe right now to stay up to date on everything Minecraft Misadventures. Let's recap.
Sausage tours the Riverwood hamlet, recapping the builds made over the past few weeks, including the Withered Hand meeting room. He announces the final 2 members will be added this week, but not before going to help an existing member in danger, Cam. After the fighting is over, Sausage meets with Ren back in the community town where he is invited to join the Assassin's Guild. Ren accepts and they immediately start role-playing. He joins as Envy, or Renvy, and as if by fate, Eloise overhears the discussion of the guild. After being asked her opinions on sloths, she passes the test and becomes the final member of the guild, Sloth for Eloise. Taking a break from assassin duties, Sausage heads to the Speedrunners Guild headquarters to add more decorations, like the Lost Crypt dungeon display and a huge meeting table upstairs. To help populate the record books, Jojo sets a challenge to complete all of the speedrunning categories for a cash prize. Sausage runs through all the categories and even manages to beat one of Jojo's times, earning him a 10,000 gold bonus. Back at the Riverwood hamlet, he digs out a watermill storage room, builds a bridge over the river, adds an assassin's haystack by the guild headquarters, teases various secret passageways, and finally a small fishery. Other than needing some admin work for NPCs and quests, he announces the Riverwood hamlet complete.
Jojo announces her Speedrunners Guild challenge, giving players a chance to win up to 50,000 gold each, and in an attempt to lose even more money, begins spreading word of the challenge to potential new guild members. Ren and fWhip both take the entrance exam, passing with flying colours, before being given a tour of the headquarters and Drift signs up as a junior member in training. Jojo then lays out the rules for the challenge. 1,000 gold for anyone who records a time for each of the available categories, and a bonus 10,000 gold for each time that beats her personal bests. She cuts to stream highlights of her dungeon running and sets a record for each category. While waiting for the runners to submit their times, she continues quest hunting in hopes of finding more server secrets and lore. But then, disaster strikes. Jojo runs Oven Mitt straight over the edge of the copper mine, killing her instantly.
Well, that was a bit of a bummer. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oven Mitt just died.
She spawns a new sheep mount, asking for name suggestions in the comments, and thanks to another comment, remembers a broken compass from an old quest and finds the crate of exotic plants has been refilled. Back at the Speedrunners Guild headquarters, Sausage has finished his decorations, which Jojo tours, before going into the mistakes she made when designing the Speedrunners Challenge. Due to an exploit in the sewers dungeon, players are finishing their runs much faster than Jojo anticipated, meaning in just the first day of the challenge being live, there are already 7 times faster than her PBs, costing her 70,000 gold so far. She's able to sell 3 mending books to Drift for 15,000 gold to help cover some of the costs, but then gives the full rundown of payments from the challenge, coming to a total of 72,200 gold.
Martin has a busy day of work lined up as Tanisha has begun shipping out samples for her joke book.
I've got it. Bar. Is that how you'd say it? This as well. Oh my god. I'm as funny as Tanisha, which I don't think is that funny, but I'll take it.
He hands out the first batch and on his travels stumbles across a mysterious cave filled with purple wool. After a little digging and crawling around, he finds nothing, but predicts there's a space reserved for the new upcoming dungeon. With this new scoop, he gets to designing the first edition of the Misinformer, using a newspaper from a previous Rats SMP as the template. He goes through multiple design iterations for the logo, which I recommend you go watch for yourself, but eventually settles on the profile of a rat, similar to the one used on the stamps. With the first article finished, he asks readers to send in tips for future stories, which will be rewarded with gold. Martin then swings by the Speedrunners Guild headquarters to show off the new decor, as well as announcing JoJo's speedrun challenge. He runs through the Maryport sewers and showcases a new optimized route, as well as JoJo's shortcut using the poison tick damage as a jump boost. A few dungeon runs later, Martin logs his times in the record books, earning himself over 30,000 gold. He then writes his second article, advertising the challenge, and announces some of the results so far. After a quick trip to the Hound's retreat, the third article is dedicated to Molly's Wrath, completing Volume 1 of the Misinformer. He shows off how it looks in-game, and explains the magic behind using displayable maps, teasing the idea for a Misinformer headquarters to come in the future.
fWhip is summoned back to Isla Bonita to build 4 more palm trees for Jimmy. He then purchases a new plot in the wilderness called the Heart of the Forest. The plan is to turn what looks like a pretty unassuming dark oak forest in the day into the home of the creaking at night. He clears an area before building some custom dark oak trees, as well as some smaller birch trees to add some variety. He hands the forest over to the admins to work their magic, allowing the forest to turn into a pale oak version at night. After a ridiculous amount of resource gathering and even some donations from friends, fWhip begins the mammoth task of building the interior of his first dungeon. The first room is a mini parkour section with multiple directions to choose from, as well as a secret passageway for bonus loot that will only sometimes generate. He reveals his plans for the cavern to be inhabited by bears, adding another challenge on top of finding a hidden lever to escape the first chamber. He keeps other parts of the dungeon a secret to avoid spoilers before taking a break to visit Shelby and to pick up his new road builder's uniform. He repairs his tools by farming some XP in the sewer dungeon and finishes Jimmy's Isla Bonita path with a small stone bridge. He begins the work on Avid's path before heading back to the dungeon. He adds a bandit camp and second lever, as well as a cruel villager trading room that requires sacrificing 2 innocent villagers to trade with the one of the player's choosing. fWhip, you scare me sometimes. He shows off the boss room as well as the final loot room before inviting Lizzie for a tour, and to discuss what challenges and loot will be possible to finish the dungeon.
Matt announces it's time for his first dungeon build. He shows off the Forest Peninsula but needs 17,000 more gold to purchase the plot. After grinding both the Lost Crypt and the Maryport sewers, he's able to purchase the land. He begins by clearing a bunch of trees and terraforming a platform for the fantasy mansion to be built upon. He then connects the peninsula to the mainland with a beautiful mossy bridge. Taking a break from the building, he meets with fWhip at his Maryport book nook to sell a Sharpness 4 book for 4 diamonds. At his main base, he adds in some additional pathing and builds a small dock for Tanisha to travel to and from her toxic island, accepting diamonds as a kind of toll payment. Back at the dungeon plot, Matt builds some beautiful custom spruce trees and explains the brief idea for the fantasy mansion, but asks for any suggestions for mobs, loot drops, and potential mounts to be left in the comments.
At the Crystal Hollow, Lizzie shows off the now populated fishing pools, with Crystal Hollow cod in the daytime, as well as other various blue-themed items. But once the sun sets, Crystal Hollow axolotls spawn and eat any of the remaining cod. You can fish up these axolotls as well as diamonds, but only at nighttime. Also, you can eat these axolotls raw, or eat them cooked. However, the Queen of the Ocean would be horrified.
Full of nutritional goodness, equivalent to that of a cooked steak. Cooked axolotls are the future.
The fishing pools currently come to an abrupt end, so Lizzie plans to make use of the flooded caverns with an underground river system. She uses some leftover materials to texture the walls and adds a mix of both living and dead coral. Next, she wants to add hanging moss and knows just the place: fWhip's new Heart of the Forest.
This is supposed to be the holy grail of pale oak moss and saplings, but there's nothing here. Oh my gosh. I was wrong. I was so wrong. This place is dangerous.
The first trip doesn't go so great, so she recruits the help of fWhip, and that doesn't start off much better.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some loot to collect. Don't mind me. Oh. Ah! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! fWhip! It happened again!
After many failed attempts, fWhip remembers he has saplings at home and gifts Lizzie 8 to get her pale oak farm started. She decorates the initial river with the pale oak leaves and moss, but stops at a larger cavern opening, teasing plans for an underground cherry blossom cove to come in the future. That's it for this week's Misadventures recap. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like and subscribe, but most importantly, let us know down below what your favourite moments have been. We'll see you in the next recap.